Open your hearts and your homes to a child. Become a foster parent. Call the New York Council on Adoptable Children, 279-4525.
Rockford down for the count tomorrow at 4.
This is Channel 2 News at 6 with Jim Jensen, Roland Smith, Warner Wolf on sports, and Dr. Frank Field with the weather.
Good evening. Geraldine Ferraro is on her first solo trip of the campaign in California tonight, but she has not left behind questions about her financial disclosures. In San Diego today, Ms. Ferraro focused on crime as the issue, proposing a new program which includes handgun controls. But she also said that next week she would release more information about her family's finances than the law requires, and said, and I quote, "It will make the public happy." But as our political correspondent Tony Guida reports, life on the stump can be tough when promises come back to haunt you.
Geraldine Ferraro is learning how indigestible political promises are when you are forced to eat them. A month ago, she promised to release her husband's tax returns as part of her financial disclosure statement. She said, quote, "It's in the public interest to do so, and the office of vice president is one of high public trust." Yesterday, she ate that promise.
My husband feels, quite frankly, that his business interest would be affected by releasing tax returns for himself. He's going to issue a tax statement, but if the reaction was, you know, "Jerry, I'm not going to tell you how to run the country, don't tell me how to run my business," and at this point, no. So, hey, you people married to Italian men, you know what it's like.
What financial data Geraldine Ferraro and all federal candidates are required to reveal is spelled out in the Ethics in Government Act. It says candidates must disclose all assets, including the assets of spouses. Simple, until you get to the exemptions. Assets need not be disclosed if they are the spouses only, or if the assets are not derived from the candidate's activities, or if the candidate does not expect to benefit from the spouse's income, or finally, if the candidate has no knowledge of the spouse's income. Enough room for lawyers to argue about what the law really demands, but that's not the point. The point is, Geraldine Ferraro publicly promised to do something she now finds she cannot do.
Anyone running for high public office today has to have glass pockets, and she said she'd release the tax forms. Now she says she won't. Question is, what's in them that we should be seeing?
Is that a fair question, though, do you think? I mean, Vice President Bush raised it, but Vice President Bush doesn't release his tax returns.
He never promised to.
The view is no less critical from the Democratic perspective.
It's going to be a problem because it starts to give the Republicans questions that they can raise right through the campaign. Even if nothing wrong was done, and I assume nothing wrong was done, the fact that she had asked her husband to make it public and then he refused to do it is going to just keep those questions coming.
But the man whose taxes are at the center of all this professes to see no questions at all.
Everybody's, so concerned about it. Whatever has to be done according to the law, we're going to do. No problem. I really don't know the magnitude of this anyway to begin with. I don't, this all has to be worked up this week and finished, and they're still working. It's all premature. And we'll have a full disclosure on Monday.
We should emphasize that Geraldine Ferraro plans to comply with the law when she issues her financial disclosure statement later this week. Her problem is she promised to do more than that, and she has now reneged. Ms. Ferraro prides herself on being strong and decisive on issues, but on this, her credibility may be in doubt. Even if there is nothing to hide in John Zaccaro's tax returns, the handling of this matter has damaged Ms. Ferraro's image, and politics is as much image as it is substance. Roland?
Thank you, Tony. Walter Mondale was busy shoring up support for the Democratic ticket today, sitting down with Gary Hart for the first time since the San Francisco convention. The Colorado senator was part of a group giving Mondale advice on defense issues. Mondale launched an offensive against Reagan defense policies yesterday. In a radio speech, he accused the president of buying, quote, every big-ticket weapon in the candy store, rather than developing a lean and tough military. And President Reagan was a star-spangled breakfast this morning for America's medal-winning Olympic athletes. Mr. Reagan told the U.S. team, which racked up 174 medals, quote, "You did us proud." And while he praised the Los Angeles Games, the president criticized the Soviets for their boycott.
The Games were a triumph of friendly and generous competition, a triumph of fellowship, and a triumph of the spirit. And it turned out that nothing could mar those Games, nothing could detract. The only losers of the 23rd Olympiad were those who didn't or couldn't come.
And while the president was calling the athletes heroes in Dallas, there was more wrangling over the Republican Party platform. Moderates worried about losing women voters pushed the platform committee to include support for the ERA for pro-choice on abortion.
The month-old strike against the Long Island Lighting Company could be over tomorrow. Just moments ago, some 1,300 clerical workers finished voting on a proposed contract. They are expected to follow the linemen and mechanics who okayed an agreement yesterday. Our Long Island correspondent Dave Monsees is at union headquarters and has additional detail. David?
Yes, good evening, Jim. What's happening behind me right now could well spell the end to a strike that's gone on for some 5 weeks now. The ballots are being counted here in this Melville Union Hall that were cast by the second of the two striking unions. Yesterday, the operational workers voted to accept Lilco's latest offer of a wage freeze over the next 18 months. Right now, the ballots of the clerical workers are being tabulated. Together, the two unions have some 4,000 members. Lilco had at first demanded a 5% pay cut, but that was taken off the table some 2 weeks ago. Instead, the operational workers union, the linemen, the repair crews, and so forth, okayed a pay reduction to newly hired employees only. Strikers I spoke with today said they weren't happy with what was before them, but without a strike fund, because there's never been a strike against the Long Island Lighting Company before, this walkout began to hurt financially and fast. If the clerical workers do vote to accept, the first shift of operational workers will come back to work at midnight tonight. They'll be followed by the clerical workers tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Meanwhile, Lilco has saved millions in salaries, a lot of money, but nothing compared to the billions that it has hanging in limbo right now over the Shoreham nuclear power plant. Union officials hope to have the ballots counted by about 7 o'clock this evening, but if the balloting is completed, if the tallying is completed before then, we'll bring the results to you. Back to you, Jim.
In other labor developments, hopes are also high this evening for a settlement, but the 32-day-old hospital and nursing home strike still goes on. Strikers were on the picket lines today with renewed vigor after negotiators over the weekend came close to an agreement several times but failed. Union officials said today a final deal could come in, and I quote, a few hours or a few days. Management has agreed to the main union demand, which is alternate weekends off. In return, the union has agreed to freeze starting salaries.
And coming up on Channel 10 News at 6, 1 out of every 3 babies in the city is now born out of wedlock. We'll look for the reasons. And later tonight, we'll tell you what's behind the changing face of Bedford-Stuyvesant. And Betsy Ashton will tell you how modern technology can help you find a good old-fashioned bargain. Stay with us.
The worst stock market crash in history rocked the nation yesterday as stock prices collapsed.
On October 24th, 1929, the news that shocked the world didn't surprise everyone. 2 months earlier, Business Week readers were warned about stock prices that seemed unsteady. Business Week was then only a few weeks old. Today, the look of the magazine has changed, but not its significance. It was Business Week that told its readers about the takeover epidemic in the steel industry. And before the computer war broke out, Business Week readers not only knew it was coming, but who would come out on top. Week after week after week, Business Week tells you exactly what's going on in business and how it could affect your business. It's all right here, in the most concise, accessible form possible. But this publication does more than report the news. Business Week interprets, even anticipates, and that's important. Because in business, nobody likes to be taken by surprise.
Business Week magazine revealed this.
Subscribe to Business Week right now, and you'll get 32 weekly issues at the low basic rate of only $24.95. That's just 78 cents an issue, a savings of more than 60% off the cover price. And along with your paid subscription, Business Week will send you one more valuable business tool, the Business Week Solar Calculator, free. This desktop calculator is powered by any light source, requires no batteries, and it's free with your paid subscription to Business Week. Subscribe to Business Week. You'll get 32 weekly issues for only $24.95. And remember, the Business Week Solar Calculator is free with your paid subscription. This is one business opportunity you ought to take advantage of. Order now.
To get Business Week and your Business Week Solar Calculator, call toll-free 1-800-453-1500. 32 issues are just $24.95. This low basic rate saves you more than $39 off the cover price. Your calculator is free with your paid subscription. Call 1-800-453-1500. That number again is 1-800-453-1500.
Israel's 11th parliament was sworn in today without a permanent government, but with a controversial new member, New York City-born Rabbi Meir Kahane. Israel technically has no government, really, because of its deadlocked elections. So the new Knesset parliament will was dismissed right after today's ceremony, not able to do any business at all. Still, it was Kahane who got most of the attention, as thousands showed up to protest his swearing in. Kahane, the former founder of the militant Jewish Defense League, has angered many Israelis because of his radical views, chief among them a drive to expel all Arabs from Israel, not just those in the West Bank.
No word today on the whereabouts of New York lawyer Martin Galvin, the leader of a group that some say backs the Irish Republican Army. Galvin defied British police yesterday, showing up at an IRA rally in Belfast. When police tried to arrest him, it touched off a riot. One person was killed by a plastic bullet and 20 others were hurt, but Galvin escaped. Today at a news conference, the IRA said that they will march tonight along the same route that they took yesterday. In New York, Mayor Koch is stating an investigation to determine whether Galvin is violating his duties as a city employee. As a lawyer for the city, Galvin conducts hearings into charges against sanitation workers.
A word of warning today for hay fever and allergy sufferers. Scientists say that heavy summer rains have produced a bumper crop of ragweed, which threatens to make this fall one of the worst allergy seasons on record. Experts say the wet weather has brought ragweed crops to new areas, that only a few isolated spots in the nation are free of that pollen problem. And none of them is around our area, the closest being northern Maine. All of which now brings us to a delightful moment. Dr. Frank Field, welcome to our little group here.
Thank you, Jim. A warm welcome on a warm day. And I got cool hands.
No, they're warming up.
They're warming up.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some nice weather coming our way. First, though, we had clouds this morning, and those clouds broke. Temperatures rose to 83 degrees. And right now in Midtown, the temperature stands at a comfortable 81. The humidity is 69% with a steady barometer. Our winds are fairly light. They are out of the east. That easterly flow is what is making our weather and will continue to do so along with that sunshine tonight. Our satellite photograph on this close-up shows what happens during the day. Moist air moves in overnight, producing much cloudiness. Then during the day, as the sun heats up to about 83 degrees, you see huge breaks in the clouds beginning to form. And that's why we went out into that nice sunshine. So our forecast, if you're heading out tonight, it should be a mostly cloudy night, but first some sun and then sunset, clouds moving in, some fog developing, just an outside chance of a sprinkle or two during the early morning hours. So don't worry about it over the next couple of hours. You're in good shape. Temperatures ranging from the 70s along the coast to somewhat cooler inland. And the morning fog tomorrow will begin to break by afternoon with a chance of a brief shower. Temperatures tomorrow once again in the low 80s, almost a repetition of the weather we've been getting for the past couple of days. Rollo?
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you know the old saying, there's gold in them thar hills. Well, there may be a fortune now swimming around the Long Island Sound area. During the final weekend this month, the Bridgeport radio station plans to tag a special bluefish and set it free in the waters off Connecticut. If anyone lands that fish on August 25th or 26th, the lucky angler will be $1 million richer in annual $50,000 payments over 20 years. Going fishing, Jeff?
As soon as I can find the right hook. Still ahead this evening, some startling statistics about who's having babies in the city of New York. We'll have that report when we return.
Foreign cars. They're not foreign to me. I'm your local man from Meineke. Meineke discount mufflers stocks a large inventory of foreign car mufflers. And they're Everlast mufflers. And we have the know-how to install them quickly, because we're trained exhaust system specialists. You drive a foreign car? Come see me, your local man from Meineke, for know-how and quality. And you'll love the price.
Installed from 1893. Visit your local independently owned Meineke shop today.
Somebody squeeze me a glass of Tropicana. Squeeze me a glass of Tropicana. Squeeze me a glass of Tropicana. Orange juice.
Tropicana Pure Premium is 100% pasteurized juice from juice, not juice from concentrate. Tropicana tastes so fresh, you'll swear you squeeze it yourself.
Squeeze me a glass of Tropicana. Squeeze me. A glass of Tropicana.
Sid Caesar with Carol Lawrence, Jackie Mason, Eddie Fisher, Jay and the Americans, and more this season at Stevensville, the scenic Catskill Wonderland that has it all. 5 Mile Swan Lake on the premises, famous cuisine, deluxe accommodations, indoor and outdoor pools, health clubs, 18-hole golf course, teen and children's programs, fantastic new indoor tennis and racquetball courts, star entertainment, great bands, and more. Call 212-736-1874. Out of New York State, 800-431-3858.
For me,
Liquid Plumber is now the best liquid drain opener there is. Look at why. All this power is now in a splash control bottle. Compare the Liquid Plumber pour with the other brands. See the difference? You can still count on Liquid Plumber's power, the clog-breaking power no leading liquid can beat. So for me, it's the best, because you need the power, not the splash.
Get Liquid Plumber, the only one in the splash control bottle.
The City Investigation Commissioner today challenged the Bronx District Attorney to put up or shut up on charges of a whitewash of sexual abuse charges at the Bronx Daycare Center. Last week, Bronx District Attorney Mario Marola called the city investigation of the sexual abuse scandal, and I quote, a whitewash, end quote. Late today, Investigation Commissioner Patrick McGinney called on Marola to identify those he believes hindered the investigation of the case. In the meantime, the Bronx District Attorney told Chris Borgen that the city's Human Resources Administration had bungled another sexual abuse case at another daycare center.
District Attorney Mario Marola's latest charge focuses on a fifth Bronx facility, the Concourse Daycare Center on Mount Eden Avenue. Last February, says Marola, a Bronx doctor reported to the HRA that a 5-year-old girl attending the center was sexually abused by an adult male. But according to Marola, HRA officials apparently discounted those medical findings and identified the child's so-called abuser as her 4-year-old playmate. Marola then closed his investigation, but reopened it 2 months later after receiving an angry phone call from the Bronx doctor who had just received a copy of that HRA revised finding.
This office gets a call from the doctor to notify us that that's nonsense, that's hogwash, that the individual was an employee, a grown individual, in that daycare center.
Marola's investigators then learned that the adult male in the original report was the young victim's teacher and that he had been fired 4 days after the incident. Where did the teacher go next?
Guess where we've located him? In another daycare center, right here in the Bronx. At no time, never, did the HRA inform us as to the identity of the individual, although they had the entire matter under investigation since February the 19th.
They informed you that the identity of the individual was a 4-year-old.
That's ridiculous.
For its part, the HRA is sticking by its story, calling Marola's version of the incident inaccurate at best. Marola, on the other hand, said his investigation will continue. Chris Borgen, Channel 2 News.
Another note to the story, Mayor Koch today issued an open letter to the city's 10,000 daycare employees, urging them all to report all accusations of child abuse to the proper authorities.
New figures from New York City's health department today show nearly 1/3 of all babies born in the city last year were born out of wedlock. As Channel 2's Barbara Nivens reports, the numbers could have a tremendous impact on the future of the city.
Melanie White and her 2 children provide faces for the statistics. At 16, Melanie, unmarried, became pregnant and had a little girl. 4 years later, still unmarried, she gave birth to another.
I was scared to death of birth control. I didn't want my insides to get messed up. I didn't know which one to use, which one would be safe, so I didn't use any at all.
During the past 20 years, the number of children like Melanie's born out of wedlock has tripled. In 1983, according to the New York City Health Department, 37% of the babies born in the city were illegitimate. In central Harlem, 79.9% of all the children born last year were illegitimate. In Morrisania, in the Bronx, 72.2%. In Mott Haven, 68.8%. In Tremont, 68.1%. In Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant, 65%. And in Fort Greene, 62.8%. An increase in the number of poor people in the city partially accounts for the trend. But the fact that illegitimate children tend to have children born out of wedlock is also a significant factor.
The families at risk, the families living in poverty who began their family careers with an unmarried teenager, are very likely themselves to produce young women who will do the same thing over again.
While there has also been an increase in the number of out-of-wedlock births in affluent areas like Manhattan's East Side, the phenomenon becomes troublesome and costly to taxpayers in poor communities, where mothers and their children are likely to be on welfare and heavily dependent on social service agencies.
It does mean that the extended family sometimes have to get in and help the unwed mother and the child, which puts a drain on the child, the mother and the family. And of course, that means it puts a strain on the entire community.
The statistics indicate that many of those giving birth out of wedlock are teenagers. Belinda Hall had the first of her 3 children when she was 15.
Wanted to do what the rest of my friends did, but I was the one that got caught.
The health department's latest figures highlight a problem that social service agencies have been trying to deal with for some time. Most of the women we talked with today said much the same thing. My children are here now, so there's just no use complaining. Yet if there is to be change, it is the children of these women that politicians, community leaders, and social workers hope to reach. Barbara Nevins, Channel 2 News.
The Catholic Archbishop of Hartford, Connecticut, says elected officials who oppose abortion personally but do not fight it in public are not showing the courage of their convictions. Archbishop John Whalen is the latest church official to speak out in the ongoing struggle over whether religious beliefs should be applied to public policy. The bishop's comments come in the official archdiocesan newspaper, Catholic Transcript, but he says he will not ask voters to focus on the candidate's abortion stance when casting a ballot.
Young drivers who are caught driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in the state of New York are facing stiff new penalties. Governor Cuomo has signed a bill which requires anyone under 19 convicted of drunk driving or driving while on drugs lose their license for at least a year. Similar penalties apply to anyone under 21 convicted of a second offense. This new law will go into effect the 1st of next November.
And when Channel 2 News continues, what's behind the new life in Bedford-Stuyvesant? J.J. Gonzalez looks at the community making a comeback. That's next.
ITT introduces the ITT Extra Personal Computer to help America work smarter.
Almost finished.
Sorry to rush. The new ITT Extra is designed to be one of the best personal computers next to the human mind. Backed by the worldwide telecommunications company.
These just came in. We're ahead by 26%.
Great. Can you bring up the campaign schedule?
Yes, sir.
Because success
Your schedule,
comes from personal productivity.
our standings, and your speech.
And at ITT,
unbelievable,
we want you to win.
Thanks, Judy.
Good luck, Senator.
Work smart, America, with the new ITT Extra Personal Computer.
The only difference between these 84 Corvettes is the gasoline they're using. This one accelerates faster with Amoco Premium Lead-Free. It's Amoco's highest octane lead-free and the same high-performance gasoline that helps solve engine problems like knock and run-on in your car.
We go that extra mile.
Federal Express introduces the biggest thing we've done in years. It's a new service that lets you send a copy of any letter or document coast to coast in just 2 hours. All you do is pick up the phone. We do the rest. Federal Express introduces Zap Mail. It's absolutely positively incredible.
The U.S. Navy found 3 mines floating below the surface of the Red Sea today, and Lloyd's of London says mines were also found in 3 locations near the southern end of the sea. The reports came as the U.S. said it's sending 3 more mine-sweeping helicopters into the area, and as Egypt's President Mubarak said today, he directly accused Libya of planting the mines. At least 16 ships have been damaged by explosions in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Suez in the past month.
These other stories in the news this evening: Dateline Los Angeles, where the federal courthouse where John DeLorean's on trial was evacuated for an hour today after a caller threatened to blow up the building. Police say the man demanded legislation and legalization of marijuana and cocaine. No bomb was found. The jury was able to resume its deliberations into whether the former automobile maker is guilty of drug trafficking. In Portland, Oregon, Senator Mark Hatfield today denied there was a conflict of interest when his wife accepted $55,000 from a Greek businessman. The transaction under security, or under scrutiny by the FBI, that is, because the financier, Sakos, is the man behind a plan to build a pipeline to Africa, a proposal that Senator Hatfield has pushed for. But today, Hatfield denied there was any wrongdoing. insisted his wife got the money because she helped Sackos find an apartment. In San Francisco, the police say a man rammed his car into an oncoming cable car yesterday in an apparent suicide. The unidentified man gunned his engine, plowed into the cable car head-on on one of the city's steepest hills. The cable car was hurled backward 2 blocks. 30 people were hurt, most of them tourists. The driver of the car was killed instantly.
A grassroots project is breathing life back into a rundown section of Brooklyn, and the restoration of Bedford-Stuyvesant recently hit a special watermark. Channel 2's J.J. Gonzalez was on hand for the occasion.
The ribbon cutting on McDonough Street in Brooklyn's Bed-Stuy section hailed the completion of a 4-year effort by the owners of 3 historic brownstones to save their properties.
Come on, 1, 2, 3.
I'm proud. I'm proud of my brownstone house because I couldn't afford to do it. I don't have words to express the gratitude.
The facades of the 3 brownstones were saved by the Landmarks Preservation Commission, who stepped in with cash grants for the work.
How much is this project costing?
$60,000 for the 3 buildings.
Okay, the money's coming from?
$30,000 from the city and $30,000 from the state through the federal government.
Jim and Alice Barnes bought their brownstone 3 years ago, paid $17,000 for the dilapidated hulk.
We had to start from scratch. You know, the new plumbing.
So you were pouring a lot of money into it.
Oh, yes, yes. In fact, it was a little more than we had anticipated.
The restoration on McDonough Street is just a small part of a vast restoration that's been going on in Bed-Stuy for 17 years. The restoration began after the then-Senator, Bobby Kennedy, visited the riot-torn area in 1964. Violence had broken out after an off-duty police officer shot and killed a 15-year-old boy. The area was left a shambles. Kennedy's visit gave rise to the first restoration corporation in the United States. Much work has been done, many buildings restored or rebuilt with government and private funds. Now they're looking for more businesses to come in.
Currently, we're looking at a joint venture with Wendy's Corporation to bring a Wendy's into the community. And what this does, as a supermarket does, the supermarket created about 150 jobs. Now, if we can bring in Wendy's, it'll create about another 50 to 60 jobs.
The major stumbling block to full restoration is the lack of a skilled labor force in the community.
What we're doing to address that particular problem is we have a number of programs through our TAP Center and through some of our youth employment programs to develop the skills and to provide training and to get people ready for the job market.
Many middle-class professionals are moving back, like Jack Barnes.
Everybody has a vested interest in the properties here, and it's a very, very good neighborhood.
It's hoped more of that enthusiasm and pride will keep the Bed-Stuy Renaissance going full steam ahead. J.J. Gonzalez, Channel 2 News.
Joseph Margiotta may no longer be the boss of Nassau County's Republicans, but tomorrow night at least he'll be the life of the party. Margiotta was released early this morning from the county jail in East Meadow, where he served the last months of his 2-year term for fraud and extortion. There'll be a big party tomorrow night to celebrate his release. The guest list reportedly includes Richard Nixon, former Governor Malcolm Wilson, and CIA Director William Casey. Margiotta is now on probation and runs a political consulting company.
And coming up, the brawl that was supposed to be a baseball game. Warner is back with that and all the day in sports next.
You know, I'm really a nice, easygoing guy. Like you, I enjoy a little peace and quiet. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So it's good I've got my Captain Black. It's always cool smoking, it never bites me, and you never have to inhale. So if you're not getting all the peace and quiet you want, hey, relax and enjoy a pipe full of Captain Black. Never a bite in the bowl.
AT&T is in travel. How? By helping NASA exchange 56,000 bits of information in an instant. Just as we can help NASA send man beyond the Earth, we can help a travel agent send a man across the Earth. AT&T can help get instant information about hotels, rates, flights. We can tailor a long-distance data network big enough for NASA and one just right for you. The people of AT&T Communications. We're thinking about your business in ways you never thought of.
Now at your AMC Jeep Renault dealer, it's the ones to watch clearance time. Time for special deals on the ones to watch. Highly acclaimed Renault Alliance, amazing Renault Encore, racy Renault Fuego, uniquely exciting Jeep CJ, 4x4 of the year Jeep Cherokee. Get a special value now. It's a great time to buy. But hurry before time runs out.
Your AMC Jeep Renault dealer. The right guy.
Getting out an ugly burn like this could hurt most vanity tops, but not DuPont Corian.
You can scrub Corian? Cleansers won't ruin it?
Scrub all you want. Corian is solid. The beauty goes clear through. Most vanities have just a thin finish that's easily damaged.
Look at that, not a mark. And I love the way Corian feels. It's just what I want.
Well, come see how Corian makes tubs and showers beautiful. You'll want that, too. Corian, at better kitchen and bath dealers.
America's newest heroes, the Olympic athletes, will be the toast of the town in New York on Wednesday. The U.S. champions will be treated to an old-fashioned parade through Wall Street, a ticker tape parade. The financial district no longer uses that stuff, of course, but a Connecticut firm has donated some 250 miles of ticker tape for that big day. The parade will travel up Broadway from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Motorists are being advised to avoid driving through Lower Manhattan at that time.
Mr. Wolf came back on vacation day, big parade through one block of West 57th Street.
Very good. Actually, you know, it might be interesting. I was in Greece the last 2 weeks, and Greece, you know, wants the Olympics as a permanent, they want them there permanently.
What have they done?
Well, I'll tell you what they've done. It's funny you should ask. They have built a new arena, modern, 50,000 indoor arena. You're talking about 2.5 times Madison Square Garden.
This would be all their field events would be inside there.
Inside, plus across the way, a new soccer stadium, which holds about 50,000. It is modern. It looks like it's from outer space, Mars. I mean, it is really modern.
How about living quarters for athletes?
Well, they haven't done that. But they want them for the 1996 games, which would commemorate the 100th anniversary when they started. And speaking of the 1896, when they started the modern Olympics, the original stadium is still there. And the interesting thing is they built that with marble. So it looks like it's new.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It was very interesting. Greece was a very interesting trip.
How's the food? Good?
Food was good. Yeah.
Both
very
are
good.
nice and clean.
Kalinitka. Good night. All right. The Mets hit the road, West Coast, against the Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Terrell against Welch after taking the last two from the Pirates. Let's go to the videotape. Yesterday's game, bottom of the fifth, 2-1 Mets, 1 on. And boom, George Foster having a good year. Number 17, that made it 4-1 Mets. After the Pirates cut it to 4-3, a big hit. Hodges, there it goes, doubles to left center. Hubie scores. West Gardner behind him. The Mets win it 6-3, and they'll play tonight in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the Yanks finish up in Cleveland tonight, 15 games back with 46 to go. Some people say, can the Yanks catch them? Well, if Detroit goes only 22-22 the rest of the way, the Yanks would have to go 39-7. Let's go to the videotape. Yesterday's game, it was all Cleveland. Joe Carter had only 2 home runs all year, so he hits this one off Guidry to make it 2-0. The next inning, with the bases loaded, Carter again against Guidry. Boom, that's it. Two homers, 6 RBIs for Mr. Carter, who came over from the Cubs in the Sutcliffe deal. Bly-Levin all the way, allowed only 5 singles, struck out 5, and did not walk a batter. By the way, the Yanks completed that Smalley deal with the White Sox. They get 2 pitchers, lefty Kevin Hickey, whom the White Sox first saw as a softball pitcher, which might interest you in the Sandlots, and right-hander Dave Drabeck both go to the minors. Did you hear about the brawl in Atlanta yesterday? 13 players, coaches, managers thrown out, 5 fans arrested. Fines and suspensions will be announced on Friday. Let's go to the videotape. This was it. Pascal Perez hits the first batter of the game. Alan Wiggins. That opened the game. Then, when Perez comes up, you know they're going to retaliate. Whitson throws at Perez, who holds the bat. Look at this. He holds on to the bat. Fortunately, they took the bat away from him, or he really could have been suspended. So, when Perez comes up in the 4th, Whitson again throws inside to Perez. Whitson is thrown out of the game, and Padres manager Dick Williams is thrown out. So this now is the 8th inning. Lefferts comes in. He throws at Perez. After Booker had thrown at Perez in the 5th, here come the rest of the Braves. There they go at it. Now watch this. Perez walks away, but Champ Summers comes over to get him. He's blocked by Bob Horner, who protects his pitcher. Fans throw beer. 5 fans were arrested, handcuffed. Look at this, taken out of the game. Think it's over, right? Wrong. 9th inning, Donnie Moore hits Nettles, who goes after Smith. The Braves win it 5-3. Now look, retaliation 1-for-1 is accepted. I mean, that's baseball. Pitcher hits the guy, they're going to hit you. Of course, they can't do it in the American League because of the designated hitter rule.
Is this a long simmering feud?
I'm not sure, but the question is, why do you have to 3-for-1? You don't throw at the same guy 3 times. That's wrong.
That's why I think something went on many games before.
And then why do the Braves have to throw at Nettles in the 9th inning? That's wrong.
Also, the fans getting involved was wrong.
That's right. And that's it.
That's it?
Well, Cooperstown Tigers beat the Braves 7-5.
What did you think of the Olympics? Did you watch much of it?
Well, I didn't see much because I was in Greece for the 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah. You want to tell us about Greece? Mike, good to see you once.
Okay, thanks.
And still to come on Channel News at 6, how a computer can help you find great bargains anywhere in the country. Betsy Ashton reports on that. And later tonight, why most junkies have no exit from their life of drugs and what that means to you. Jane Mitchell has a special report. And Frank will be back with word on when we'll get some relief from all this humidity. Stay with us.
This campaign button sponsored by Canon electronic typewriters featuring the AP300. So smart, it's friendly.
A famous White House duet. President Richard Nixon accompanying his guest Pearl Bailey with his strong rendition of Home on the Range.
Mr. President, may I say one thing? I wanted to sing a song. I don't want to ride a horse. Me a home.
Marcia,
Your plane leaves in an hour.
I need some changes.
We can do it.
Whatever the crisis, it's great to have a friend like the Canon AP300 electronic typewriter.
Look, the page sets up automatically.
Change 12 to 14.
Simple.
I know the limo's waiting.
Almost done. Even decimals line up automatically. You made it.
We made it.
Oh.
Canon. So smart, it's friendly.
Here, Watson. Observe this draft.
I see, Holmes. That solves your energy loss mystery.
Not quite, Watson. No clock thermostat.
I say, more extensive than I thought.
Just how extensive? You can find out with a $15 PSE&G home energy audit.
They inspect your home and recommend solutions.
Amazing. Elementary. Seal up and save.
For information, call 1-800-854-4444.
What's he doing?
Just lit a cigar and then he put it out.
Bet it's a Dutch Masters or El Producto.
How come?
They've changed. Most of theirs don't use natural leaf wrappers anymore. Now, Garcia Vega's still an honest cigar. Garcia Vega still gives you the rich tobacco taste of natural leaf wrappers.
He's doing it again.
He ought to switch to an honest cigar.
Garcia Vega, still an honest cigar.
He's doing it again.
I'm Earl Shive. I'll paint any car, any color for just $89.95. No ups and no extras.
Earl Shive has painted more than 15 million cars. He uses only his famous diamond gloss acrylic paint. There is no finer paint made. Made only with DuPont pigments and General Electric silicone.
Right. I'll paint any car, any color for just $89.95. No ups and no extras.
Mayor Koch today declared war on the many luxury stores he says cheat the city out of millions of dollars in sales taxes by fraudulently shipping items out of the state. In the mayor's war, there are going to be some casualties. He says he wants to jail the corporate moguls who run those stores.
Yes. Corporate fraud is not some kind of silent corporation. There are people, men and women of flesh and blood, who make that policy. The only way that you can deal with that kind of corporate fraud is putting people in jail.
The mayor says when nearly 100% of a store's sales are shipped out of state, you can bet something's going on. The city's going to use computer cross-checks and undercover agents to aid in the sales tax crackdown.
In our Consumer Watch tonight, computer shopping. Searching for a bargain usually means lots of time and energy. But as Channel 2's consumer editor Betsy Ashton reports, now you can literally let a computer do the walking for the best bargain in the country.
Inside this trim Stamford, Connecticut home is a man about to search for a bargain. He'll never walk out the front door.
My brand name, I want Zenith. So I can even type in the word Zenith or the code, which is ZNTH.
Jim West will do all his shopping on his computer on an electronic shopping network called CompuStore. The system helps him get the best price on the Zenith TV set that he wants to purchase. He tells the computer he wants a 19-inch model with remote control. He says he will spend no more than $500. The computer finds him one for $438.94, including tax and freight. He orders it.
I checked the local dealer, and it was the best price. It was a better price than he could come up with.
The unique thing about the CompuStore system is that once you tell the computer what product you want to buy, the computer goes bargain hunting for you. It searches through all the manufacturers, distributors, and wholesalers in its memory to find you the best deal possible.
Our computer is instantly checking the availability and price nationwide. So from New York City, you're really now shopping the entire country, and there may be a sale on in Denver or Los Angeles. And we're grabbing that television from that vendor and having it shipped right to your home.
CompuStore is operated by the CompuCard Company in Stamford. Every working day, new products are entered into the computer system. Prices are checked and updated 50,000 times each month. The main computer contains over 60,000 different products, all kinds of name brand items, from watches to camera equipment to refrigerators. There are other computerized shop-at-home services. This Viewtron system is being tested in Florida. Another is called the Electronic Mall by CompuServe. They offer the convenience of shopping at home, but do not search out the bargains. CompuStore is alone in that category. Its system is now being licensed for use in other countries. Consumers pay $25 a year membership fee to hook into the CompuStore system. They also pay a small fee for the time the computer is doing their shopping. But the company promises prices that are 25 to 50% below retail.
There's very little overhead in our system. We have no bricks, no mortar, no salespeople. All we have is some electronic equipment that are maintaining the inventory, if you will, so that you can shop Sunday night at midnight and we're not even paying for a light being on. You're just coming in on a terminal and you're going out through a computer system.
Now, the big disadvantage to computer shopping is you can't see what you're buying, although they do plan to have some pictures on the computer screen in the future. But right now, the real savvy shoppers go to stores to examine the different TV sets, cameras, or whatever, figure out which ones they want, get the prices, then go to the computer to see if they can beat those prices, and they order wherever they get the better deal. You don't have to have a computer to play this game. You can telephone CompuStore and they will operate the computer for you, but you will pay an extra 4% on whatever you buy for that service. For more information on the computerized bargain hunting, call 1-800-243-0266 during business hours. That's 1-800-243-0266. Jim?
As I understand it, Betsy, CompuStore is a store in itself.
CompuStore,
Can you decide what it does?
Yeah, the idea was hatched about 15 years ago, and nobody had computers. Personal computers weren't a thing then, and it was kind of dying, and now they have 750,000 telephone customers, plus some 16,000 computer customers, and they're in Japan and England, and everybody's
And
licensing
investors got what for a dime?
$20 on every dime invested, I'm told.
Up next, why the city's drug treatment centers play a part in continuing the deadly drug cycle. Jane Mitchell will have a special report when we return.
Learning to communicate, a child's right, a deaf child's necessity. But early training will meet that need at the New York School for the Deaf. Reach out.
If you couldn't advertise in the 9X Yellow Pages, what on earth would you do to attract more customers? Luckily, the Yellow Pages attracts customers 365 days a year. And with a red ad, you get even more attention because you stand out from the competition. 9X Yellow Pages for New York telephone. Where would you be without it?
What a bummer. Another engine we can't mess up.
How could Mobil do this to me?
Yeah, improve their super unleaded gasoline. It's really powerful.
Higher octane is so... Knocking and pinging is becoming a lost art.
Yeah. I just hope nobody else finds out how good their new gasoline is.
How could they find out? Mobil could make a television commercial.
In my pursuit of life's little pleasures, I finally found a coffee that is nothing like your basic brew.
Nescafe Silka.
Smooth and subtle and far more refined than I'll ever be. And if you don't like it, that's fine, because Nescafe's got 4 new coffees. One of them's going to taste your way. Smooth Silka, Traditional Classic, Bold Brava, Natural Decaf. Each one custom blended, each one visibly different. I've got mine. You choose which one's made to taste your way. Nescafe.
Communication. Communication separates the serious investor from an investor. Communication with a financial consultant about what makes you feel comfortable and uncomfortable. This communication will ultimately determine how satisfied you will be, which is why we recommend you invest your time with us before you invest your money with us. Shearson Lehman American Express and the serious investor. Minds over money.
A major thrust of New York's war on drugs is breaking a vicious cycle. Junkies who steal to get a fix, then steal again. Many addicts seek help in drug treatment programs, but lately fewer and fewer of them are finding it. As Jane Mitchell reports now, part of the problem is system overload.
James DeSantis is a junkie. From a cell at Rikers Island, he told us he's been arrested a half a dozen times. He says the last time he finished doing time, he decided to kick heroin. He says he tried to get into a drug treatment center, but was told he'd have to wait 2 weeks.
In that 2-week period of waiting to get into the program, I went out and did another burglary and ended up back in jail.
His story is one of thousands like it, and it touches all of us because junkies are committing much of the crime that is hurting all of us.
What is happening to New York City and the rest of the country is that more than 50% of all of the acts of crime, property crimes, occur as a result of drug addiction, drug addicts going out, stealing and burglarizing and robbing in order to supply their habit.
New York State estimates there are almost 30,000 more heroin addicts today than 4 years ago. Cocaine use is way up. New York City cops are making addicts' lives tougher than ever with more drug crackdowns like Operation Pressure Point. Those police raids are pushing many low-level pushers and their customers off their favorite street corner. That's pushed more addicts to seek help. All of this has drug treatment centers backlogged. At least 1,500 addicts are on the official waiting list, not including hundreds who just walk out when they're told they have to wait.
I don't want to say that we want to encourage the addict to commit crimes, but in a sense, basically, that's what we're telling them, because if someone comes to our doors and we can't service them, then we're basically putting that individual back out into the streets.
One of those who said he did not get help in time, 36-year-old Walter Sullivan. We visited Sullivan in Rikers Island as he was waiting for his burglary trial. Sullivan says he was a building superintendent supporting his own dope habit when he lost his job. He says he tried to get treatment but was told he'd have to wait 30 days and could not handle it.
30 days it's a lifetime. It's devastating because you need help then. You don't need help 30 days from now. 30 days from now, with a habit, you could be done, maybe hurt someone. See, heroin is a physical thing. It's not just a mental thing. I mean, you physically get sick.
We're picking these people off the street. We're bringing them into a courtroom, maybe into a prison. They're there for a very brief period of time, but their addiction is not really being dealt with.
Basically, there are 2 ways to treat junkies now. Get them off drugs completely or switch them to another drug, methadone. Methadone is what doctors give their patients at this Manhattan clinic. It's a treatment that can go on for years. It keeps the addict from stealing, and on this drug, they can function and work. Cost per addict? Just over $2,000 a year. This looks more like a summer camp, but it's a place where addicts try to kick drugs entirely. Here at the foot of the Catskills, addicts live, work, and get intensive counseling.
You didn't have no friends. You had people you got high with.
Yeah, these are people, though, when you're out there, you think they're your friends because you're so high and out of it most of the time, you think these people are your friends.
The hope is after a year, they will walk out with their addiction behind them. This program costs just over $8,000 a year per client, most of it government money. Counselors here say New York State's clinics need more money.
When you consider over 1 million users in New York State and only 40,000 odd in treatment, a grossly inadequate system. And that translates only to the fact that there are no dollars to open up new slots.
Others say throwing money at the problem won't solve it. A lot of addicts who get out of treatment drift right back to their old drug haunts and drug dealings, like this one in broad daylight on the Lower East Side. That often lands them right back in jail. One federal study in the 1970s showed almost half of the addicts it surveyed spent time in jail within 3 years of leaving treatment. So a lot of professionals say what's really needed is a new approach. Example, right now, junkies sent to Rikers Island get methadone for a week so they don't have to go through painful withdrawals in a jail cell. Doctors here say, why not start the motivated prisoners in special long-term treatment while they're still right here in jail?
If it were possible to find the right population of people who would benefit from that program, and not everybody would, but some would, they could potentially be started on methadone maintenance while in jail and then discharged to a methadone maintenance program in the community.
Others, like U.S. Senator Al D'Amato and Mayor Koch, say, in the end, there are 3 basic ways to attack the drug problem. Education to prevent people from getting hooked, treatment of those who are hooked, and cutting off the drug supply with boats, guns, and planes.
I believe that having a defense against drugs that are coming into this country is as important and is an integral part of our national defense.
It is, in a way, a war, and right now, we're losing it. Do you think any agency or any aspect of government is failing, is not doing its share?
Everybody. Everybody's failing. I would say the government, they need a lot more programs because it's not only in one neighborhood, it's in all the neighborhoods. If you don't help now, you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later.
At any given time, politicians in the state legislature and in Congress are working on ways to raise more money and create new programs to fight drugs. Even those politicians will tell you so far the government has not hit on the right combination of efforts. Until it does, all of us will keep paying for the habits of junkies. Jane Mitchell, Channel 2 News.
And now here's a preview of some of the stories we're working on for Channel 2 News at 11. The results of the contract vote by LOCO striking workers should be out. We'll bring you the results. And we'll also keep a close watch on the latest developments in the hospital workers' strike. Plus, we'll tell you why Jewish American leaders are upset over election wrangling in Israel, wrangling to form a new government that could affect the right of American Jews to become Israeli citizens. Hope to see you at 11.
Just ahead, Dr. Frank Field with an encore, another look at the weather for the week ahead.
Want a free roll of film? Ask the Photomatch Vacation Special.
A new age of engine protection has dawned. A major advance in motor oil technology. Introducing new Exxon Uniflow. Completely reformulated to give super premium protection to every car on the road today. Every gasoline, every turbo, every diesel, every car. New Exxon Uniflow. Our most advanced protection ever. From Exxon. Quality you can count on.
The Meadowlands presents harness racing's richest race, the $2 million Woodrow Wilson, the nation's top 2-year-old pacers, Thursday night at the Meadowlands.
Follow the noodle and uncover the specialty dishes served at Dosanko restaurants. Dosanko serves noodles made fresh every day. For lunch or dinner, you'll come up a winner at Dosanko.
Dr. Field, you are in the honorable position of ending the broadcast tonight. You're it.
I don't like the way you said that. Ending it? You mean temporarily. We have temperatures now in Midtown on a rather pleasant note. We had a high today of 83 degrees, but that's in contrast to those enormous 90 country. If you're going out this evening, no problems. Right now in Midtown, the temperature has dropped to 81 degrees. I say drop because temperatures are still 10 degrees higher in the interior sections. The humidity is 69%. Wind is the barometer is 30.04, and the wind is out of the east at 7 miles an hour. It's fairly light. That easterly flow will continue. If you wonder where the heat is, I know we're having problems, but here we have it, 90s and 100 degrees right down through the plain states and into the Gulf. And the reason becomes quite apparent because on our weather map we have a strong southerly flow of air. That hot, humid flow of air continues to pump the heat and moisture out of the Gulf. At the same time, we've had that nice little onshore flow. That's brought low clouds to the metropolitan area, starting us off slowly, but managing to get us up into the low 80s. Meanwhile, meteorologists in the east are looking at a little bit of a low-pressure center that is developing off the coast of Hatteras. May turn out to be a bit of a problem. You see the widespread cloudiness associated with that low. That will continue to drift and amble slowly eastward. Meanwhile, our clouds will again redevelop, and breaks will form tomorrow, so we'll start the day out on a rather grim note and then brighten up during the afternoon. The forecast for our metropolitan area for tonight, a mostly cloudy night. Those clouds will begin to move in. They're scattered low clouds just along the coast. It will become warm, muggy, foggy, air-conditioned weather. Chance of a sprinkle or two with temperatures in the 70s along the coast, the upper 60s in inland areas tomorrow. We're looking for the morning fog again. Breaking clouds during the afternoon, again sunshine, low 80s. And the 5-day forecast, well, not bad at all. A chance of a sprinkle or two tomorrow. And then gray clouds Wednesday morning, breaking out into sunshine. Thursday, the possibility of some scattered showers. Friday should be a lovely day. A mixture of sunshine and clouds, and again for Saturday, but with high humidity, typical of the August weather, which we've learned to respect. Jim?
I get the feeling you feel like you've been here a whole day already.
Oh, you're right.
That's Channel 2 News at 6. I'm Jim Jensen.
And I'm Roland Smith. Carol Martin and I'll be back a little later on for Channel 2 News at 11.
Coming up, a reply to a Channel 2 editorial, followed by the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. We're back tomorrow at 6. Good evening.
Portions of these broadcasts were recorded.